Layla ran across the sand, her wedding dress torn, eyes wild, clutching a gold contract that shimmered under the moonlight. Headlights cut through the storm behind her. She stumbled, gasping, "You used me." The car door slammed. A man's shadow loomed. His voice carried over the wind, low, furious. "You think you can run from me, Layla?" 3 weeks earlier, she'd been sitting on the floor of her cramped apartment, surrounded by unpaid bills and the fading smell of turpentine from her paints. Her phone kept buzzing. Unknown number. She ignored it until it wouldn't stop. "Hello," she said, voice tight. "Miss Haddad," the caller said. "This is Al-Rahman Holdings. Your father's debt has been reassessed. Payment is due in full." Her chest went cold. That debt was cleared after his death. It wasn't, the voice cut in. "You have until Friday." The line clicked dead. Her younger brother Omar leaned in the doorway, guilt written all over his face. "Layla, I need to tell you something." "Please don't," she whispered, already knowing. He swallowed hard. "I borrowed money from Sheikh Zahir Al-Rahman." The name hit her like a slap. Everyone knew the Sheikh, ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. People said he could buy a nation and still sleep soundly. "You borrowed from him," she said, rising. "He's not a banker, Omar. He's a predator." "I had no choice," he shouted. "Mom's hospital bills." Layla turned away, gripping the wall. "So now he owns us." That night, a black car stopped outside their building. 2 men in suits stepped out. "Miss Layla Haddad," one said. "The Sheikh requests your presence." "Requests?" she asked. "Or orders?" Neither man answered. Minutes later, she stood in the grand hall of a marble palace, small against the endless gold. Zahir Al-Rahman waited by the window, a dark figure in white robes, eyes sharp as cut stone. "You've caused me quite a delay," he said. "I didn't ask for this meeting," she replied. He walked closer. "Your brother's debt is under your family name. I assume responsibility runs in your blood." She lifted her chin. "I'll pay. Just give me time." His expression didn't change. "Time is a luxury I don't sell." "Then what do you want?" she demanded. For the first time, he smiled, faint, unreadable. "A wife." She blinked. "I beg your pardon?" "I need a wife. Temporarily. 6 months. In return, your family's debt disappears." "That's absurd." "It's business," he said calmly. "A marriage of image, not affection. I need stability in the public eye. You need freedom from debt. It's simple." "Nothing about this is simple," she snapped. He took another step, close enough that she could smell the faint scent of cedar and smoke. "You're an honest woman, Miss Haddad. And I've had my fill of liars." Something in his tone made her hesitate. "Why me?" "Because you're not interested in my fortune," he said quietly. "And you won't fall in love with me." She almost laughed. "Trust me, Sheikh Zahir, that won't be a problem." He nodded once. "Tomorrow, then." She went home in silence, the city lights blurring past the car window. At her apartment door, someone was waiting. Yusuf, her father's old apprentice. He'd always been there, kind eyes, steady hands, the sort of man who listened before speaking. "Layla," he said, seeing her face. "What happened?" She tried to smile. "Just business, Yusuf." He frowned. "You're trembling." "Tell me what he said." She hesitated. "If I told you, you'd try to stop me." "Then maybe you should," he said softly. The next day, she didn't stop. The wedding was small, silent, almost secret. No music. No laughter. Just a contract, a ring, and 2 strangers pretending not to hate the deal binding them. Zahir didn't even look at her during the vows. That night, the palace swallowed her whole, marble corridors, endless silence. At dinner, he scrolled through his phone while she stared at her untouched plate. "Do I at least get to know the rules of this arrangement?" she asked. He didn't glance up. "No scandals. No press. No interference with my life." "Then why marry me at all?" "Because appearances matter," he said simply. "And because you were convenient." Her throat tightened. "Convenient," she repeated. "Lovely." He stood. "Dinner is over." Days turned into a rhythm of distance. Zahir would vanish before sunrise and return long after dark. Layla wandered the halls, unwanted and unseen. One afternoon, She found herself in the palace gardens. The scent of jasmine carried on the wind. An elderly servant smiled gently. He wasn't always this cold, the woman said. Layla looked up. He was kind once? Until she betrayed him, the woman whispered. He loved her more than the desert loves the rain. Layla frowned. The servant only shook her head. You'll see soon enough. Later that night, Layla drifted toward a closed door, his study. Curiosity tugged harder than reason. Inside, books lined the walls, a world built on control and order. On his desk sat a photograph, Zahir laughing beside a beautiful woman in red. Enjoying the view? His voice froze her. She spun around. I didn't mean. Never touch what isn't yours, he said, stepping forward, eyes hard. You really should try trusting people, she shot back. It might make you human. His jaw flexed. And you should try minding your place. She glared at him, chest rising. I'm not your property. No, he said softly, almost sadly. You're my contract. She left the study shaking with anger. That night, through the walls, she heard him shouting into the phone. I told you, Nadia, it's done. I won't reopen that wound. Nadia. The woman in the photo. His voice dropped raw. You made your choice. You wanted power, not me. The sound of glass shattering followed. In her room, Layla pressed her hands over her ears, torn between pity and fury. The next morning, while she painted in the courtyard, Zahir appeared behind her. You paint, he said quietly. It keeps me from screaming, she answered. He watched her brush glide over the canvas. You're angry. Shouldn't I be? You trapped me in your palace to fix your image. He didn't deny it. You could have refused. She met his eyes. Could I? He said nothing, but something flickered in his gaze, guilt, maybe. Then he walked away. That afternoon, Yusuf called. Layla, the papers are full of rumors, he said. They're saying you married him for money. Her stomach dropped. Already? I can help, he said. Talk to a journalist I know. Clear your name. No, she said quickly. That'll only make it worse. Then let me come see you, Yusuf pleaded. You don't have to face this alone. She hesitated. I can't. It's complicated. Behind her, she sensed movement, Zahir standing in the doorway, listening. His voice was quiet, edged with steel. Your friend seems very concerned. He's just trying to help, she said. Men rarely help without wanting something, he replied. She spun on him. Not everyone is like you, Zahir. He didn't flinch. Maybe not. But eventually, everyone disappoints. Later that night, he attended a gala she refused to go. Hours later, the tabloids exploded, photographs of him with Nadia, his ex-fiancée, smiling for the cameras. Layla stared at the images on her phone. His hand rested at the small of Nadia's back. They looked perfect together. Her chest burned. She threw the phone aside. When he returned, she was waiting. Did you enjoy your evening? She asked coldly. It was business, he said. Business looks a lot like affection in those photos. His eyes darkened. You're jealous. Of her, she laughed bitterly. Please. I just don't like being made a fool. He stepped closer. Then don't act like one. Her hand flew before she thought. The sound of the slap echoed through the hall. He froze, stunned. She trembled. Don't ever speak to me like that again. He turned slowly, voice low. Careful, Layla. You're not the only one who knows how to leave. She walked away, heart hammering, tears spilling once she was out of sight. In the weeks that followed, tension thickened like smoke. The world began to whisper about his ex, about her mysterious past, about the contract no one could prove, but everyone suspected. Zahir buried himself in work, and Layla buried herself in silence. Yusuf kept calling. Nadia kept visiting. And beneath it all, something dangerous began to stir, something sharp, restless, waiting for one of them to break first. Morning sunlight poured through the palace windows, sharp and unforgiving. Layla scrolled through her phone, her stomach twisting. Every headline screamed her name. The Sheikh's new wife real love or royal PR? Mystery bride's past raises questions. She dropped the phone onto the marble floor and muttered, "They make it sound like I sold myself." Omar's call came seconds later. Layla, what's happening? Are the rumors true? I don't even know what's true anymore, she said, her voice breaking. Before she could say more, the door swung open. Zahir entered, jacket slung over his arm, calm as ever. She rose, furious. Do you even care what they're saying? He didn't stop walking. Rumors are part of power. Ignore them. They're calling me a gold digger. He paused. Would you rather they call you bankrupt? Her breath caught. You really are heartless. He met her eyes, unflinching. I learned early that hearts only get in the way. She almost threw the phone at him. And what about reputations? Mine's not a pawn in your empire. He glanced at the shattered screen on the floor. Then stop letting strangers define you. Easy for you to say, she hissed. You already sold your soul. Zahir didn't answer. He just left, the door closing like a full stop. 2 days later, Yusuf showed up at her art studio downtown. He'd somehow convinced the guards to let him in. She blinked in surprise. Yusuf? How did you even? I asked nicely, he said with a small grin. You look tired, Layla. Don't start. He handed her a coffee anyway. Then just drink this and pretend we're normal again. She sighed, taking the cup. Normal left the day I said yes to him. He looked at her painting, a storm over the desert. You're still the same inside. She smiled sadly. You sound so sure. I know you, he said. You were always trying to save everyone else. Who's saving you now? Before she could answer, a flashbulb went off outside, paparazzi. Yusuf stepped protectively in front of her, shouting, no pictures. But it was too late. That night, the photo was everywhere. Layla Haddad seen embracing another man while Sheikh abroad on business. Zahir saw it on a flight back from London. His hand clenched around the newspaper until it tore. Nadia, seated beside him, looked amused. Jealousy doesn't suit you, she said. I'm not jealous, he muttered. Of course not, she replied smoothly. You never cared for anyone enough to be. He looked out the window, jaw tight. You're still good at twisting knives. And you're still pretending you don't bleed, she said, brushing his sleeve with deliberate familiarity. You married her to clean your image, and look, scandal again. You should have chosen someone who knows your world. He turned to her. You mean someone like you? The woman who sold my secrets to the press. Her smile faltered for the first time. That was years ago. Some wounds don't age, he said quietly. When the plane landed, he ignored her and walked straight out. Back at the palace, Layla waited in the hall, heart pounding. As soon as he entered, she started, Zahir, I can explain. He held up the paper. Don't bother. It's not what it looks like. His eyes were dark, sharp. It looks like my wife found someone who actually listens to her. She stepped closer. You think I wanted that photo? You think I'd humiliate you? He said nothing. I met an old friend for coffee. That's all, she said, her voice cracking. Zahir's expression didn't change. And the way he looks at you? That's not coffee, Layla. Something inside her snapped. At least he looks at me at all. The silence that followed was deafening. He finally turned away. Do what you want. Just remember, your name is tied to mine. And yours, she said bitterly, is tied to a lie. He stopped at the door, shoulders tense. Careful, Layla. You're standing in a palace made of my patience. When he left, she sank to the floor, shaking. Hours later, Nadia arrived unannounced, strutting through the courtyard like she owned it. Her perfume filled the air before her voice did. You must be the new wife. Layla stood slowly. And you must be the old mistake. Nadia smiled. Feisty. I see why he's intrigued. What do you want? To warn you, Nadia said sweetly. Zahir doesn't forgive betrayal. He buries it. Layla's pulse quickened. Is that what happened to you? Nadia's smile thinned. Touché. But if I were you, I'd start packing before he decides you're not worth the trouble. Layla stepped closer. I'm not scared of you. You should be, Nadia whispered. Because he once loved me enough to destroy people for me. Imagine what he'll do when he hates you. Layla didn't move until Nadia's heels faded down the corridor. Only then did her hands start to shake. That night, Yusuf texted, they're twisting everything. Tell me where you are, I'll help you disappear. She typed, then deleted her reply a dozen times. Finally, she sent one word. Don't. For the first time since the marriage began, she wasn't sure which was more dangerous, staying with Zahir or leaving him. Rain swept across the palace courtyard that night, rare and relentless. Layla stood by the window, watching the storm soak the marble steps. She hadn't seen Zahir since their fight. His absence pressed on her like a weight. When the door finally opened, she turned, heart stuttering, but it wasn't him. It was Nadia. Again. "Still here?" Layla asked flatly. Nadia held up a folded magazine. "You might want to see the front page." Layla took it, scanning the photo, Zahir al-Rahman and former fiancée Nadia attending a charity gala, seen leaving together. Her stomach turned. "You had this planned." Nadia smirked. "Maybe. Or maybe he just realized what he left behind." Layla tore the magazine in half. "You're pathetic." "Careful," Nadia said, stepping close. "You think you know him? You don't. Zahir is made of secrets and survival. When he feels betrayed, he burns everything down, including the woman he married to save face." Layla clenched her jaw. "You really can't stand that he moved on." "Moved on?" Nadia laughed softly. "Oh, darling, he's never moved on from me." Before Layla could respond, Zahir's voice echoed behind them. "You're right, Nadia." Both women turned. He stood in the doorway, expression unreadable. "I never did move on from the lesson you taught me." Nadia's eyes flickered, a hint of unease breaking her composure. "Zahir, I was only—" "Leave," he said. His tone was final. She tried to smile it off, but his gaze made her falter. When she was gone, silence fell between him and Layla, thick, brittle. Layla crossed her arms. "You really like making me look small, don't you?" "You're the one who keeps walking into traps," he said coldly. "Maybe if you trust me, I wouldn't have to fight your shadows." He stepped closer, eyes dark with frustration. "Trust? You lied to me about that man. You let him into my home. He's my friend." "He's a scandal waiting to happen," Zahir snapped. "Do you have any idea what that photo did to my reputation?" She stared at him, hurt twisting in her chest. "All you care about is your reputation." He didn't deny it, and that silence cut deeper than words. Later that week, Layla escaped to her mother's old house in the outskirts of the city, a quiet place where the sand met the sea. She needed air, distance, and clarity. Yusuf showed up uninvited, his car splattered with dust. "Layla," he said, stepping out. "You shouldn't be here alone. The press are everywhere." "I don't care," she said softly. "Let them watch." He reached for her hand. "Come with me. I can get you out of this. We can go to Cairo, start fresh." She pulled away. "Yusuf, stop. You're my friend, not my escape." His voice hardened. "He's ruining you. You're defending a man who sees you as a transaction." Her eyes filled. "Maybe, but it's still my choice." Before she could say more, a car engine roared down the road. Zahir's black SUV pulled up, headlights slicing through the darkness. He stepped out, rain dripping from his coat, fury barely restrained. "Get in the car," he said. Layla shook her head. "I'm not a child." Zahir's gaze shifted to Yusuf. "And you stay away from my wife." Yusuf squared his shoulders. "She's not your property." Zahir's jaw flexed. "No, but she's not yours either." Layla stepped between them, trembling. "Stop it. Both of you." But the two men didn't move. Finally, Yusuf turned to her. "You don't see it, do you? You're falling for him." Layla froze. "That's not true." He smiled sadly. "You wouldn't defend him like this if it weren't." Zahir's eyes flicked to her, 1,000 emotions warring beneath the surface: disbelief, anger, something like fear. "Is that true?" he asked quietly. Layla looked between them. "It doesn't matter." "It matters to me," Zahir said, stepping closer. "Because if you feel anything for me, anything, I need to know it's not just another lie." Her throat tightened. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." He looked away. "You're right. I wouldn't." Then he turned, got in his car, and drove off, leaving her standing in the rain with tears she couldn't explain. Yusuf touched her shoulder gently. "He doesn't deserve you." But she didn't answer. Because for the first time, she wasn't sure whether that was true. Back in the palace, Zahir poured himself a drink, staring at the wedding contract on his desk. Every word of it suddenly felt like a chain around his heart. Nadia's warning echoed in his mind, "You'll burn everything when you start to care." He didn't know if she'd meant it as a threat or a prophecy. That night, Layla received a message from an unknown number. "If you want to know the truth about your husband, meet me tomorrow. Come alone." She stared at the screen, pulse racing. The sender's name was blocked, but the message carried one hint that made her blood run cold. It was signed, simply, N. The night air was heavy with dust and silence. Layla's car idled beside the old desert airstrip Nadia had chosen. She almost turned back twice. Every instinct screamed trap, but curiosity had sharper claws. Headlights flashed once across the sand, a signal. Then another car rolled to a stop beside hers. Nadia stepped out in black, elegant even in the dirt. "You came," she said. Layla's voice was low. "If you're trying to scare me, it's working." Nadia smiled faintly. "Relax. I'm not here to ruin you. I'm here to warn you." "You said that before." This time, Nadia said, pulling a folder from her bag, "I have proof." Layla hesitated before taking it. Inside were documents, old contracts, news clippings, photographs. One caught her eye, a younger Zahir, standing beside a man in handcuffs. Headline: Corporate heir accused in father's scandal. "What is this?" "The truth," Nadia said. "The reason he doesn't trust anyone. The reason he needed a fake wife." Layla scanned the page. "He was arrested?" "Framed," Nadia corrected softly. "By his own cousin." "The man stole millions, used Zahir's name, and left him to take the fall. It destroyed his family's reputation." "That's when I met him. He was broken, desperate, obsessed with control." Layla looked up. "And you fell in love with that?" Nadia's smile faltered. "I fell in love with who he could be. But power changed him. Or maybe I did." She took a step closer, her tone sharpening. "You think you understand him, but you don't. Zahir isn't cold because he wants to be. He's cold because every time he trusted someone, they turned his heart into a weapon." Layla's pulse quickened. "And you?" "I was one of those people," Nadia admitted. "I leaked stories about him to protect myself. And he never forgave me." Layla swallowed hard. "So why tell me this now?" "Because I saw his eyes at that gala," Nadia said. "He still has the same look he did before everything fell apart. He's falling again, and this time, it's for you." Layla's breath caught. "You're lying." "Am I?" Nadia's voice softened. "You think he'd chase you across the desert, fight the press, defy his board, for a contract?" Layla couldn't speak. Nadia stepped back, slipping on her sunglasses even though night had already swallowed the light. "Believe what you want, Layla. But be careful. When Zahir feels something real, he destroys it before it can destroy him." And just like that, she was gone, her taillights disappearing into the sandstorm. Layla stood alone, the folder clutched to her chest, heart pounding with 1,000 new questions. Back at the palace, Zahir waited in the darkened study, a single lamp casting gold across the desk. He'd been there for hours, replaying every fight, every word she'd thrown at him. "You already sold your soul." He hated that it hurt. The door creaked. Layla entered, dust on her coat, eyes unreadable. "Where were you?" he asked quietly. "Out," she said. "Out where?" She dropped the folder onto the desk. "You should probably see this." He opened it, and his expression shifted, a flash of rage, then weariness. "Who gave you this?" "Nadia," she said. "She told me everything." "Everything," he repeated, bitterly. "Did she also tell you how she used my name to save herself?" Layla's voice trembled. "She said she regretted it." He laughed once, sharp. "Nadia regrets being caught." Layla stepped forward. "Then tell me the truth. Why did you really marry me?" He looked at her for a long time before answering. "Because I needed someone untouchable. Someone the world couldn't accuse of scheming." "And now?" she asked. His voice dropped. "Now I wish I'd never met you." Her breath caught. "You don't mean that." "I do," he said, standing. "Because I can't afford to care again, Layla." She blinked through tears. "Then you already do." He froze. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then he turned away. "Get out." She left without another word, the sound of the storm outside swallowing her footsteps. The storm hadn't stopped by morning. The palace grounds shimmered with puddles as Layla packed her things in silence. She could still hear Zahir's voice, cold, distant, final. "I wish I'd never met you." Her phone buzzed. It was Yusuf. "Layla," he said quickly, "you need to get out of there. They're saying awful things on the news, that you leaked Zahir's business files to the press." She froze. "What?" "I didn't." "I know," Yusuf said. "But they have proof, emails, signed under your name." Her heart raced. "That's impossible." "It's not," he said grimly. "Nadia's behind it. She's feeding the tabloids." Layla felt the world tilt. "Then it's over. He'll never believe me." "Come to me," Yusuf said. "I'll fix this." But she couldn't move. The weight of the lie was too heavy, too cruel. Moments later, the door burst open. Zahir stood there, phone in hand, fury etched into every line of his face. "You've outdone yourself this time." Layla's voice shook. "Zahir, listen." He threw the phone onto the bed. Headlines blared across the screen. Sheikh's wife betrays him in corporate leak scandal. Her stomach dropped. "That's fake." "Fake," he snapped. "You were the only one with access to those files." Tears burned her eyes. "I didn't do it. I swear." He stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. "You've been lying since the day you walked into my life." Her chest ached. "If I wanted your money, I would have taken it and left." "Then why stay?" he demanded. "Because she stopped herself, shaking her head. "You wouldn't believe me anyway." He stared at her for a long moment, then turned toward the door. "You're right." That broke something inside her. She grabbed his arm. "Look at me, Zahir. You think you're the only one who's been hurt? You think I wanted any of this?" He stopped but didn't turn around. "I didn't sell you out," she said through tears. "But you'll never see the truth because you don't know how to trust anyone." His silence was colder than shouting. She let go. "I'll make it easy for you. I'll leave." And she did. 2 nights later, Zahir sat alone in his study, staring at the folder she'd brought him 3 days ago, the one Nadia had given her. The edges were damp from the storm, but one photograph had slipped free, Nadia and his cousin shaking hands at a press conference years ago. His blood ran cold. He called his assistant immediately. "Pull everything on the leak. IP addresses, timestamps, all of it." Minutes later, the report came through. The emails traced back to an account created just 3 days ago, from a network belonging to Nadia's PR firm. Zahir's jaw clenched. She set her up. He didn't even grab his coat. Layla was at the small coastal cottage, half asleep when pounding echoed at the door. She opened it to find Zahir, rain dripping from his hair, eyes burning with something raw. "You were telling the truth," he said. Her throat tightened. "You finally figured that out?" "I was wrong," he said simply. "And I'm sorry." Tears welled up again, this time from exhaustion. "That's not enough." "I know." He took a slow step closer. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I believed the worst, because I was afraid to believe the best." She laughed bitterly. "That's your excuse?" "No," he said, shaking his head. "It's my curse." For a long moment, neither spoke. Rain tapped softly against the window. Then he whispered, "I should have trusted you." "You didn't," she said. "And now it's too late." He exhaled, closing the distance between them. "Maybe. But if it is, let me at least end this right." He reached into his pocket and placed the torn marriage contract on the table. "No more deals. No more pretending." Layla stared at it. "So what now?" He looked at her with a flicker of something fragile, hope. "Now, I fight for you the way I should have from the start." Before she could reply, a knock echoed again, louder, sharper. She turned. The door swung open and Yusuf stood there, drenched, eyes full of warning. "Layla," he said, voice trembling. "You need to come with me. There's something you don't know about him." Zahir's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" Yusuf held up his phone. "Proof. That the deal, your marriage, was planned long before she agreed to it." Layla's breath hitched. "What?" Zahir froze, realization flickering across his face as the truth he'd buried threatened to surface. The rain outside thundered harder. Layla looked between them, the man she wanted to hate, and the one she wanted to trust, and whispered, "Tell me it isn't true." Zahir opened his mouth, but no words came. Rain blurred everything: the walls, the sea, the people in front of her. Layla could barely breathe. Yusuf's phone screen glowed between them, a cruel light in the storm. She whispered, "What do you mean planned?" Yusuf swallowed. "Zahir's lawyer reached out to your brother weeks before the so-called debt came due. The money, the deal, all of it was orchestrated to force you into saying yes." Her pulse pounded in her ears. "That's not true." Zahir stepped forward, voice low. "Layla, listen to me." "Don't," she said, backing away. "Please don't lie to me again." "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," he said. Yusuf laughed bitterly. "That's what guilty men always say." Zahir's glare snapped toward him. "Stay out of this." "I'm not going anywhere," Yusuf said. "You trapped her. You used her pain to clean your reputation." Layla's voice cracked. "Zahir, tell me it isn't true." He opened his mouth, but the truth betrayed him before words did. His silence said everything. Layla stumbled back a step. "Oh my God." "It started as business," he said finally, voice raw. "But it became more." She shook her head. "No. Don't you dare use that line now." "Layla, I swear I didn't mean to hurt you." She laughed through tears. "You didn't mean to? You built this entire lie around me. My family's debt, my brother's fear, my future, all of it was your chessboard." He tried to reach for her, but she pulled away. Yusuf stepped between them. "She's done, Zahir. Go back to your palace." Zahir's jaw tightened. "This is between us." "Not anymore," Yusuf said. "You lost that right." Layla turned away, clutching her coat. "Both of you stop." "I can't. I just can't." She walked out into the rain, not caring that her shoes sank into the mud or that her tears mixed with the storm. Behind her, she heard them shouting, voices blurred by thunder, but she didn't look back. The next day, every headline in the region exploded again. Fake marriage scandal rocks Al Rahman dynasty. Bride accused of deception, Sheikh silent. Layla threw her phone into the sea. She deleted every message, every photo, everything except one painting. It was of the desert storm she'd painted in his courtyard, a reminder of the chaos they'd built together. Yusuf found her sitting by the cliffs. "You should come home," he said softly. "Start over." "I don't know where home is anymore," she murmured. "You do," he said gently. "It's anywhere he's not." She looked at him, the man who had always been kind, always waiting in the background. For a moment, she tried to imagine feeling something more. But her heart betrayed her again. It still beat for Zahir, even when it shouldn't. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For caring." He gave a sad smile. "I'd do anything for you." She looked away. "That's what scares me." Meanwhile, across the city, Zahir stood in front of a wall of cameras, his empire on the edge of collapse. The reporters shouted over each other. Was the marriage a publicity stunt? Did you trap her into a contract? Is the sheikh planning divorce proceedings? Zahir's publicist tried to intervene, but he raised a hand. Enough. The crowd fell silent. He looked straight into the cameras. "Yes," he said. "It began as a business arrangement." Gasps rippled through the room. He continued, voice steady but heavy with regret. "But somewhere along the line, it stopped being one. I won't defend my mistakes, but I will say this. Layla Haddad is not to blame. If you want someone to crucify, look at me." He turned and walked off the stage, leaving chaos in his wake. Back at the cottage, Layla watched the broadcast on a small TV. She wanted to feel vindicated. Instead, she just felt empty. Her phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. He told the truth. The message was unsigned, but she knew who it was. Nadia. She stared out the window at the ocean, heart torn between hate and hope. And then her brother's voice came from the door. "Layla, you need to see this." He handed her a letter, the seal broken, the paper creased. It was from Zahir. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. Layla unfolded the letter slowly, her breath catching as his handwriting swept across the page, precise, deliberate, unmistakably him. "Layla, by the time you read this, the truth will already have eaten whatever is left of my name. That's how it should be. I built a lie to protect my empire, and I used you as its foundation. I told myself it was business. I told myself you'd never care enough to be hurt. But somewhere between the arguments and the silences, you became the only thing real in a world full of pretense. When I arranged the deal with your brother, I thought I was saving us both. I paid off his debt before the contract was even drafted. I never wanted you to know because I wanted your freedom to mean something, even if mine didn't. Layla's eyes blurred. The letter shook in her hands. I don't expect forgiveness. But if I could go back, I would tear up that contract and ask you anyway, not as a sheik, not as a man chasing redemption, but as someone who fell for you the moment you looked me in the eye and told me you didn't believe in fairy tales. You were right. Fairy tales don't exist. But love does. It just costs everything. Zahir. Layla pressed the letter against her chest, tears spilling freely now. For a long time, she said nothing. Her brother stood quietly at the doorway, as if afraid to speak. Finally, she whispered, he already lost everything. Layla. No, she said, shaking her head. He's not the man I thought he was. But he's not the monster everyone says, either. Her brother sighed. He hurt you. She wiped her tears. So did life. At least he tried to make it right. The following day, a news alert flashed across every screen. Sheikh Zahir Al-Rahman resigns, donates entire fortune to Family Trust Fund for Desert Orphans. Layla's heart clenched. He'd done it quietly, without a press statement, just a line at the bottom of a report. He'd given it all away. She didn't even think. She packed a bag and drove through the desert until the city lights disappeared behind her. Hours later, she reached the palace, now eerily quiet, guards gone, halls echoing with absence. She found him in the courtyard, sitting where they'd once painted together. The same canvas stood there, unfinished, 2 brushstrokes crossing like lost paths. You're hard to find, she said softly. Zahir turned slowly, surprise flickering across his face. He looked different, tired, unarmored, human. I thought you hated me. I did, she said. Then I realized I hated missing you more. He stood, but didn't move closer. You shouldn't be here. There's nothing left of what I was. Good, she said. Because I never wanted the sheik. He blinked. Then what did you want? She smiled sadly. The man who painted storms. For the first time in weeks, something like light returned to his eyes. You still don't know how dangerous I am. And you still don't know how stubborn I am, she said. He took a step closer, his voice trembling now. I hurt you in ways I can't undo. Then stop trying to undo it, she whispered. Start by not running this time. He exhaled, the fight draining from him. You'd forgive me? After everything. Layla's voice softened. Forgiveness isn't the point. Love is. The storm outside had finally broken, leaving only quiet. He reached out, hesitant, then she took his hand first. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she whispered, no contracts. No deals. Just us. He nodded, eyes glistening. Just us. And as the first light of dawn brushed over the courtyard, Layla kissed him slow, certain, the kind of kiss that rewrote every mistake that came before it. In that instant, the sheik who had everything and the woman who had nothing finally met in the only place they could, the middle. The sun rose slowly over the palace, lighting up the marble terraces with gold. For the first time in months, the air felt still. Layla stood by the window of what used to be Zahir's study, watching the desert shimmer in the distance. He was behind her, barefoot, shirt sleeves rolled up, sketching something on a sheet of paper. The sound of pencil against the desk filled the silence. What are you drawing? She asked. He smiled faintly. Our new beginning. She stepped closer, curious. On the paper was a design, not for a palace or a skyscraper, but a school. Small, simple, surrounded by gardens. For the children? She asked softly. He nodded. For the ones who grew up like I did. Alone. Angry. Searching for something they could trust. Layla's heart tightened. You really meant it, giving everything away. He set the pencil down. Money was easy to earn. Peace wasn't. She touched his shoulder. You're getting better at this, talking like a human. He chuckled under his breath. Don't tell the press. They'll think I've gone soft. Maybe you have, she teased. He turned toward her then, eyes warm, voice gentle. Only with you. They stood there for a long moment, the silence between them no longer heavy but full, the kind that feels safe. Weeks passed, and the world slowly forgot the scandal. The tabloids moved on. The palace reopened, not as a royal estate, but as the new house of Al-Nur, a foundation for orphans, funded by what remained of Zahir's fortune and Layla's art. Layla taught painting classes there twice a week. The children loved her, the staff adored her. For the first time, her name was associated with something good. Sometimes she'd glance at Zahir across the courtyard as he taught the boys how to build miniature wind turbines or told stories about the stars. And every time, she'd feel that soft ache in her chest, the one that said this is real. But peace never stays untested. One afternoon, as they packed up supplies after class, a familiar voice echoed through the hall. "Well, isn't this touching?" Layla froze. Nadia stood in the doorway, elegant as ever, sunglasses in hand, the faintest smirk on her lips. Zahir's jaw tightened. "You're trespassing." "Relax," she said smoothly. "I'm not here to cause trouble." "Then why are you here?" Layla asked, stepping protectively closer to him. Nadia sighed. "Because I'm tired of running. I came to make things right." Zahir laughed coldly. "You don't get to rewrite the past." "I'm not trying to," she said. "I'm trying to warn you." Layla exchanged a glance with Zahir. "About what?" Nadia hesitated, glancing around as if afraid of being overheard. "Your cousin Karim. He's back. He's been buying off the trustees you left in charge of your companies. He wants your foundation shut down." Zahir frowned. "That's impossible. The accounts are legally sealed." "Not anymore," Nadia said quietly. "He found a loophole, and he's using your name to sue for ownership." Layla's pulse quickened. "What does that mean for the children?" "It means," Nadia said grimly, "that if he wins, everything you've built, this school, this home, disappears." Zahir's expression hardened. "Over my dead body." Nadia nodded. "That's what I'm afraid of." For the first time, there was no mockery in her voice, just exhaustion. "I know I don't deserve your trust. But I couldn't watch him destroy what little good you've done." Layla studied her. "Why help us now?" Nadia looked away. "Because I'm done being the villain." The room fell silent. Then Zahir spoke softly. "If you're telling the truth, then help me stop him." Nadia met his eyes. "You're going to need proof, and I might know where to find it." The desert air was thick with heat as Zahir's convoy sped toward the city. Layla sat beside him, her hands clenched around a file Nadia had given them, proof of Karim's fraud, hidden inside offshore accounts and falsified documents. Zahir's expression was unreadable, his jaw tight. "He always wanted everything my father left behind. Now he's using my past to take what's left of my soul." Layla placed a hand on his arm. "Then don't let him win." "Not again." He looked at her, and for the first time, his anger softened into gratitude. "You still believe in me after everything?" She smiled faintly. "I don't believe in fairy tales. But I believe in redemption." The car slowed in front of the courthouse. Paparazzi were already swarming, flashes lighting up the marble steps. Zahir stepped out first, tall, composed, no longer a billionaire in a designer suit, but a man ready to reclaim his integrity. Inside, Karim was waiting, flanked by lawyers. His smirk was identical to Zahir's old one, cold, confident, untouchable. "Still pretending to be the noble one, cousin?" Karim drawled. Zahir ignored him and handed the file to the judge's aide. "These documents prove you siphoned funds from the trust meant for the foundation. You forged my name and bribed my former advisors." Karim's eyes flickered, but his voice stayed smooth. "And where did you get these so-called proofs?" "From your mistress." Layla's breath caught, but before she could speak, Zahir said evenly, "From the woman who saved me from becoming like you." The courtroom fell silent. The judge reviewed the documents, her brow furrowing deeper with each page. When she finally looked up, her voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Karim Al-Rahman, you are hereby charged with corporate fraud, falsification of legal documents, and embezzlement." The color drained from Karim's face. "You can't." The gavel struck. "Take him away." Layla exhaled shakily as the guards led Kareem out. The storm that had started months ago, the lies, the pain, the scandals, finally ended with that sound. Zahir turned to her slowly, emotion flickering across his face. "It's over." She nodded, eyes glistening. Now it can really begin. Weeks later, the foundation reopened bigger, brighter, alive again. Nadia attended quietly in the back, sunglasses hiding tears she didn't want anyone to see. When Layla approached her after the ceremony, they shared a look that said everything words couldn't. "Thank you," Layla said softly. Nadia shrugged. "For what?" "For doing the right thing, even when no one asked you to." Nadia smiled faintly. "Maybe we both needed to start over." Layla nodded. "We all did." As Nadia walked away, Layla turned and saw Zahir standing under the archway, sunlight pouring behind him. He looked at her the way someone looks at something they thought they'd lost forever. She walked up to him, their fingers brushing. "Do you ever think," she said quietly, "that maybe everything had to fall apart so it could come together like this?" He smiled. "That sounds like something you'd paint." "Maybe I will," she said. "But not alone." He took her hand fully then, intertwining his fingers with hers. "Then paint our story. The whole thing, the lies, the storms, the redemption. Don't leave out the ugly parts. They made us real." Layla laughed softly. "And what should I call it?" He leaned close, whispering, "Married to the Sheikh, the deal that turned into love." If you believed in their love, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories where hearts heal and hope always wins.